She said, "My art mentor says your energy is blocking my creative spirit." I said, "I understand." Then I moved out. The frantic calls I got 24 hours later proved her creative block was actually called paying bills. I guess I should have seen the signs. They were everywhere, flickering like a faulty neon sign in a dive bar, but when you're in the thick of it you just think the ambiance is quirky. My Leo. 32-year-old male relationship with Luna 28-year-old female just imploded, and looking back it was less of a tragedy and more of a controlled demolition that I finally decided to trigger. We'd been together for 3 years, living together for about half of that in a ridiculously expensive loft that was supposed to have good light for her art. Luna is a painter, a visionary artist. She called herself. When we met I was captivated. She was vibrant, passionate, and saw the world in colors I barely knew existed. I'm a senior financial analyst. I see the world in spreadsheets and projected earnings. We were opposites and it felt electric. I thought I was her anchor. It turns out I was just her bank. The problem started subtly. About a year ago she found an art mentor. A guy named Jasper who looked like he'd been kicked out of a Fleetwood Mac cover band for being too dramatic. He was her guru, her creative guide. And suddenly every conversation started being filtered through him. Jasper says my use of cobalt blue signifies a deep-seated fear of stability. Cool, I just thought you liked the color. But then it turned toward me. Every normal relationship request became a personal attack on her artistic soul. Leo, Jasper says your need for a clean kitchen is a manifestation of your desire to control my chaotic creative energy. Or my personal favorite, asking me about our budget stifles my creative flow. You can't put a price on inspiration. The mental gymnastics required to turn "please put your dishes in the dishwasher" into an existential threat to modern art deserved an Olympic gold medal. Her new favorite catchphrase became, "You can't frame a masterpiece." She used it for everything. Leaving wet canvases on my work laptop. Art is messy, Leo. You can't frame a masterpiece without a little chaos. Maxing out our joint credit card on a spontaneous trip to find inspiration. You can't frame a masterpiece by staying in one place. Forgetting to pay her share of the utilities for 3 months straight. You guessed it. Apparently paying the electricity bill has been reclassified as a cage for her free spirit. I tried to be supportive. I genuinely did. I footed 80% of our bills because her art sales were, let's say, unpredictable. Her parents, the Wellingtons, were wealthy and enabled this, occasionally sending her a check which she'd immediately spend on some vintage kimono instead of, rent. I suggested we get a financial planner. She said that was like asking Van Gogh to use QuickBooks. I suggested couples counseling. Jasper, apparently, had advised against it, claiming I would try to systematize her soul. Then came Tuesday. I came home from a 12-hour day of closing quarterly reports. I found Luna sitting cross-legged on the floor, surrounded by incense smoke, with a grimly determined look on her face. "Leo," she said, her voice heavy with faux wisdom. "I had a breakthrough with Jasper today. We did some deep work on my creative block." I sat down, bracing myself for whatever psychological pretzel was coming my way. "We've identified the primary source of your artistic anxiety," I said, finishing her sentence with a deadpan tone she didn't catch. She nodded gravely. "It's you. Your practical energy. Jasper says it's like a beige wall in the vibrant museum of my mind, and it's blocking my creative spirit. I need to consider what that means for my journey." I just sat there. 3 years of encouraging her, going to her gallery shows, telling my friends her painting of a sad-looking pair was provocative. 3 years of funding this journey. I stood up. "I understand," I said. Her eyes widened. She expected an argument. She expected me to beg for a spot in her vibrant museum. Instead, I went to the bedroom and pulled out my suitcase. "What are you doing?" she asked, following me, clutching a paintbrush like it was a scepter. "I'm solving your problem," I said calmly, folding my shirts. "If my energy is the block, then I should remove it. The solution seems pretty straightforward." Her face started to pale under her artistically applied blush. "But that's not," Jasper said. "We need to work through it. You can't frame a masterpiece by just walking away." "Actually, I can. And I am." I said, grabbing my DOP kit and work files. The loft is in your name. Convenient. I'll get the rest of my things this weekend. The panic was visible now. Leo, this is exactly the kind of rigid, unfeeling reaction Jasper warned me about. You're proving his point. I zipped my bag shut. Maybe. Or maybe I'm just tired of being the beige wall that pays for the paint. I walked to the kitchen counter and left a note. It said, "Hope this unblocks you. Best of luck." Then I walked out and drove straight to my buddy Sam's place. The real masterpiece, I thought, was the silence in my car. Update 1. Holy hell. I knew there would be fallout, but I was expecting a gentle rain of passive-aggressive texts, not a full-blown reality hurricane. The first text arrived exactly 19 hours after my departure. It was angry. "This is so childish. Jasper was right about your emotional immaturity." Followed by, "You can't frame a masterpiece and then just abandon it." I didn't respond. Then around 11 p. Wednesday, the tone began to shift. "Hey, can we talk? I think you misinterpreted my artistic needs." Followed by, "Leo, it's really unfair to just leave. My creative process is collaborative." By Thursday morning, my phone was buzzing like it had been strapped to a hornet's nest. 20 missed calls. The texts became a waterfall of desperation. "The power is going to be shut off. I don't know the password for the utility company's website." "Where did you write down the Wi-Fi password?" "I can't stream my meditation guides." "I can't find the insurance card for the car and the check engine light is on." Here's the thing. I handled every single piece of our life admin. I tried, believe me, I tried to show her. I even made a color-coded spreadsheet with all the accounts' passwords and due dates. She'd glanced at it, laughed, and said it was an insult to her spontaneous nature and that she couldn't be bogged down by such linear thinking. Now her lack of linear thinking meant she was sitting in the dark with no internet. Then came the text that made me laugh out loud. Around noon on Thursday, she sent, "How am I supposed to afford this loft on my own? Rent is due next week." I almost replied. I typed out, "Maybe sell the sad pair." But then I deleted it. I remembered the conversation we'd had 4 months ago where I suggested we find a cheaper place to ease the financial pressure on me. Her response then, "Leo, you're trying to put my spirit in a budget box. You can't frame a masterpiece in a boring suburb." Our masterpiece loft, which I was paying 80% of. Then the social media performance began. Nothing direct, of course. Just a series of dramatic black and white Instagram stories. When your muse is stolen from you. And protecting my energy from those who don't understand the artistic struggle. My personal favorite was a selfie of her looking wistfully out the window with the caption, "Sometimes the most beautiful paintings are born from the deepest pain." Sam, my hero, showed me her other Instagram story from her close friends list, which I was apparently still on. It was a boomerang of her and her friend Qley clinking $7 matcha lattes at some painfully hip cafe. The caption, "Self-care is a vital part of the creative process." This was the same woman who had texted me an hour earlier that she might have to forage for food. The math wasn't mathing. Friday is when she brought in the big guns. Her parents. Her father Drive. Wellington, a retired surgeon who always looked at me like I was a particularly uninteresting microbe, started calling. I let it go to voicemail. "Leo, this is Charles Wellington. I don't know what kind of game you're playing, but Luna is devastated. She called us in tears, said you walked out without a word and left her completely destitute. She had to borrow money from me for groceries. Call her immediately and sort this out like an adult." Groceries. Right. I had just stocked the fridge 2 days before I left. I knew for a fact she had a $500 emergency bill from her grandmother tucked inside a hollowed-out copy of The Artist's Way. But sure, she was on the brink of starvation. The woman's entire life was a piece of performance art, and I was just now realizing I was the only one paying for a ticket. Saturday morning, I texted her, "I'll be there at 2 p. with Sam to get my things. Please have them packed and be out of the apartment as agreed." Her reply was instant. "I'll be here. We need to talk. You can't frame a masterpiece if you don't communicate." I showed up with Sam in his pickup truck. Luna was there in a silk robe with incense burning and some depressing indie folk music playing. She'd set the mood for a reconciliation. Leo, please. She began, her eyes wide and pleading. There's been a huge misunderstanding about my creative needs. No misunderstanding, Luna. I said, heading straight for my bookshelf. You were crystal clear. My energy is the problem. I'm removing it. This is what you wanted. That's not what I meant. Jasper says. I don't care what Jasper says anymore, Luna. I cut her off, my voice colder than I intended. I'm done being the villain in your artistic narrative. And that's when I walked into the bedroom and saw what she'd done to my suit. Update 2. The extinction burst has officially evolved into what I can only describe as a reality denial supernova. So I walked into the bedroom on Saturday to get my clothes, and there it was. My best suit, a custom tailored $1,000 suit I'd bought for my sister's wedding, was hanging on the closet door, splattered with what looked like Pepto-Bismol pink acrylic paint. Luna followed me in, wringing her hands. Oh my God, that, she said, feigning surprise. I was having such a powerful creative breakthrough last night. It got a little messy. She looked me dead in the eye and said with the conviction of a seasoned liar. You can't frame a masterpiece without a little collateral damage. It was an accident. An accident. That just happened to land on my single most expensive piece of clothing. Sam, who was wrapping my TV in the living room, must have heard the tone in my voice because he suddenly appeared in the doorway. He just looked at the suit, then at me, and raised an eyebrow. The message was clear. Let's get the hell out of here. The mask finally slipped from Luna's face. The tears stopped as if someone had turned off a faucet. You're really going to be this petty over one comment and a suit? She snapped. One comment. Luna, I've been your walking ATM and emotional support animal for a year and a half. Every time I asked you to do a basic adult task, you told me I was disrupting your color palette, or caging your spirit. I'm done. This is financial abuse. She shrieked, her voice echoing in the half-empty loft. You got me accustomed to this lifestyle, and now you're ripping it away from me. Sam actually snorted from the doorway. She whirled on him. This has nothing to do with you. Just here to move the heavy stuff, he said, holding up his hands, but I could see the smirk he was hiding. He knew. Everyone knew but me. As we were carrying the last box out, she grabbed my arm, her face a strange mix of desperation and calculation. Please, Leo. I'll tell Jasper he was wrong. I'll get a new mentor. Whatever you want. What I want, I said, pulling my arm away gently, is to not be someone's beige wall. We drove away with her standing in the doorway of her expensive empty loft, no longer crying, just staring. That should have been the end of it. But oh no. Monday morning I got a frantic call from my bank's fraud department. Luna had tried to transfer the remaining $5,000 from our old joint savings account, an account I'd stupidly left open with my emergency fund in it, to her personal account. The large atypical transfer was automatically flagged. I spent 30 minutes on the phone explaining the situation and closing the account for good. She was literally trying to steal from me. Then came the Facebook post. I barely use Facebook, but my sister sent me the screenshot. It was a novel. A long, rambling post about the struggles of being a female artist in a patriarchal world, and how her partner of 3 years had emotionally and financially abandoned her after becoming threatened by her talent. She never used my name, but she tagged me, my sister, my parents, and about 20 of our mutual friends. The comments were a dumpster fire. Her artsy friends were all, "Stay strong, queen. Your art will be your revenge." But a few people who actually knew us started poking holes. My favorite was from our friend Brad. Didn't you just tell us last month that Jasper said Leo's stable job was a beautiful foundation for your art? She deleted his comment in under 5 minutes. But the real chef's kiss moment came on Wednesday. Sam's girlfriend Maya works at the art gallery where Luna occasionally consigns her paintings. Maya was in the back office and overheard Luna on the phone with her mother, sounding absolutely hysterical. "No, he has to come back. I can't afford this place. No, Mom. I am not moving home, that's social suicide. I'll figure something out. Maybe if I tell him I'm pregnant." It worked for Qley when her boyfriend tried to leave. I have never been so grateful for scheduling a vasectomy consultation in my entire life. The sheer premeditated manipulation was breathtaking. This wasn't just immaturity, this was a level of strategic deception that was honestly kind of impressive. The woman wasn't an artist, she was a Machiavellian warlord with a paintbrush. Edit. For everyone asking yes. I immediately changed all my passwords for everything. And no, the vasectomy hasn't happened yet, but that consultation is looking like the best decision I've made all year. Final update. So the reality denial supernova finally collapsed into a black hole of consequences, and the gravitational pull has been glorious to watch from a safe distance. After the overheard fake pregnancy plot, I thought I'd heard it all. I was wrong. The universe had one more act for this tragic comedy. The week after I moved out, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. It was a collections agent from a major credit card company. Am I speaking with Leo? I'm calling about an account held by Luna Wellington. Your number was listed as a primary contact. It turns out Luna had a secret credit card she'd opened 2 years ago. The balance was a cool $15,000. After I clarified we were no longer together and I had no legal ties to her debt, I cheerfully provided the collector with her parents' home phone number. Apparently that call opened Pandora's box. The Wellingtons, now financially involved, did some digging. They discovered their precious free-spirited artist had not one but 3 maxed-out credit cards totaling over $30,000 in debt. It was all spent on art supplies, designer clothes, trips to find her muse Reed, luxury spa weekends, and dinners at restaurants where the water costs more than a grocery run. Dr. Wellington, according to my sister who heard it from a family friend, hit the roof. The landlord for the masterpiece loft wasn't far behind. When the rent didn't magically appear in his account, he started eviction proceedings. In a last-ditch effort, Luna posted an ad on an artist collective forum, seeking conscious high-vibrational individual to share beautiful light-filled creative space. Must respect the artistic process and contribute to a tranquil energy environment. No drama. She found someone. A 23-year-old grad student named Maya who was new to the city and thought living with an artist sounded romantic. Maya lasted exactly 6 days. She found me on Instagram after finding an old piece of my mail. We met for coffee and the stories were insane. Luna had presented her with a roommate harmony agreement that included clauses on aura management, designated silent hours for creative incubation, and a rule that Maya wasn't allowed to cook with garlic because the smell clashed with her emotional color palette. The final straw. Luna tried to charge Maya a $200 emotional labor fee for explaining how the smart thermostat worked. Maya moved out that night. The landlord, now dealing with a non-paying tenant who was trying to illegally sublet, expedited the eviction. Last I heard, Luna had to move back home with her furious parents. The free spirit was finally caged in a 5-bedroom suburban house, but still. Her art mentor, Jasper, apparently distanced himself once her parental funding dried up, claiming she had lost her authentic path. The hypocrisy is so thick you could sculpt it. Veronica is now rebranding herself on TikTok as an artistic empowerment coach, teaching people how to monetize their authentic selves. The poor bastards who follow her have no idea. As for me, life is good. I got a big bonus at work. Turns out not having your bank account constantly drained by a visionary does wonders for your savings. I started seeing an actual therapist who confirmed that asking a partner to be a partner is not, in fact, stifling their spirit. And I've even started dating someone new, an architect. She thinks my spreadsheets are weirdly charming, and when I told her this whole story, she just laughed and said, "Some masterpieces belong in the trash." Final update. I almost forgot the best part. A year later, Luna found me on LinkedIn. She sent a painfully formal message about how she's done a lot of work on herself and realized she projected her own insecurities onto me. She wanted to meet for coffee to offer a genuine apology and discuss clearing the air. I looked at her profile. Her current location was still listed as her parents' suburban town. I didn't respond. I just hit delete and blocked her. Some beige walls are load-bearing, and I'm happy to be holding up my own damn house now. Problem solved. For good.